Screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So today is session 3, and we are going to lean more into our intermediate, low key advanced, like on the lower end of advanced part of SQL. So from this session on, from session 1, we did our introduction. We did our DML languages where we focused on making sure that things were structured correctly when we are retrieving data from the database. We did DML languages, the insert, update, select, and delete, um, and applying those within a database. Session 2, we focused when we started leaning more into the analytics part of SQL, leaning into our aggregate functions, um, how to use those aggregate functions and how to apply them correctly within our code. But not only just a baseline of aggregate functions, but also categorizing our data with our group buys and our having. That was our session last week. So this week is kind of a heavy session because we are now going, like I said, into our intermediate and advanced part of SQL. So the objectives of this week are string functions, case statements, subqueries, and joins. So it's a heavy session, but it essentially I formatted it like that because it essentially builds upon what we have already done and applied and what we've already learned. Everything from our baseline on up is essentially going to just build upon what we know. So each session just go stretch you out just a little bit from the next one. Any questions before we hop into these string functions? Let's go then. So, what are string functions? String functions is when you get within the data cleansing and the data wrangling part of data analysis. Um, I know you have probably seen a lot of conversations centered around data cleansing, data cleansing, data cleansing. And I even focus on that with you all as well because in reality, data is never clean, especially when you have a large volume of it. And it also kind of goes into the conversation. I know y'all have probably seen the chatter as well. Like when people ask, okay, will AI take our jobs? Will AI take our jobs? Will AI take our jobs? And even if, based on all the research and all the projections, AI will not take the place of analytic professionals. The way that AI is pretty much going to change the way we work, but it is not going to change our jobs. Like it's not going to come and take our jobs. And the reason being is because within this space, like I always tell y'all, it's important to do your research, lean in on the tools. If something doesn't work, okay, figure out why. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, let's check this. Like the way that our brains are naturally work, the way that our brains naturally work in this space is we are problem solvers. We are super resourceful. We're creative, and we're taught or we learn very quickly in these roles to use and leverage tools that we have. So in that space, AI is going to be and has been literally a tool, but also a big part of why it cannot take our jobs is attributed to the fact of we depend on clean data. And there is a huge misconception, even amongst like organizations or companies, to where everybody wants to be data driven. Everybody wants to be data centric. We're building on these oh, what you say, not yet. Not yet about what, Akia? But
Questions?
oh, okay. I was like, I didn't even see it until now. Okay. But yeah, so all these organizations are trying to focus on data, and they're going and it's low key like how squirrels or something, like when they hibernate, they go and they try to get all this food out and they hoard it for, whatever the reason being. organizations and companies are literally doing the same thing with people's data. And that's why when you go to the grocery store, when you go to checkout, when you go to even a restaurant and they say, well, how is the service? And you click on your receipt and you say yes, no, whatever. That's literally data. So companies now are becoming to where they are obsessed with data and they're trying to get as much of it as possible, which is good because you need it. But the flip side of that is just because I have a large volume of something does not necessarily mean that it's useful. And the reason that I said that is because, like I said, companies hoard the data, but it's not structured correctly, it's not normalized, it's just not in a way that a consumer or a stakeholder or someone in HR, someone in marketing, someone that's in these positions make these decisions, it's not really structured in a way where they can still even look at it and say, okay, well, I need to make this decision based off this data because it's a mess, honestly. So that's why it's going to be, or it is now, a big focus on data quality and data cleansing. So I teach you all in this session about string functions because string functions play a huge role in data cleansing. Um, and the reason, essentially, at its core, a string function is a function, just how we talked about our aggregate functions, just how we are going to talk about our window functions. They are a function, but they help essentially manipulate and format the string or the value that's inside of that column. So that is, it is very high level string functions. They manipulate that value that's inside the column, but the purpose of them is they fall into that data wrangling and that data cleansing part of data analysis because we have so much data, or in even databases and AI, we have so much data that just because we have it does not mean that we can use it. Like they still can't use it. So that's where these string functions come into play. And also a little word of advice as well. As you navigate this space, um, as you navigate this space, I've also seen a lot of roles that you might be a data analyst and you literally might not be analyzing data in what you would assume to be analyzing data. What I mean is you could get a data analyst role and your primary focus could be data cleansing or building data sets or something like that because it's such a huge focus on making sure that your data is useful. But anyway, so that is essentially what string functions are. They really just help clean the data and they help change the values of the data within your database. So any questions before we get into the three different types? Well, it's multiple types, but the three different types that we're going to use for our session. Okay, so let's go then. So the first one that we are going to talk about is CONCAT. So CONCAT really shows up. The reason that I chose to integrate it within what I teach you all is because, first of all, it shows up in other places outside of SQL. Excel uses concat, Python uses a form of concat, and so does Power BI. They all have like certain ways that they use this function. And was that you, Akia? I don't know if it was you or not, but somebody mentioned in one of our sessions about how the more that they learn about like the syntax and things within SQL, it's helped them in other spaces. And I told them that organically, that's how things work. Like when you are able to start writing the code over here, you're able to look at Python, you're able to look at PowerShell, you're able to look at like other things and be like, okay, that's what that's doing. So I incorporated Concat because Concat is useful across a lot of realms outside of SQL. And essentially what Concat does is it combines two different columns. Like here, this is our syntax here. And of course, everything goes back to our select. We are still selecting. We are select, and then we put concat here. This is our actual string function. We open up our parentheses, and we put our two columns. These are actual column names. Within these parentheses, close your parentheses. Then you say as whatever you want to name your new column, as full name. from this table. So you're essentially structuring that string function the same way you would structure any other function. You list out your function, you open up your parentheses. Am I recording? No, I'm not. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Okay. You list out your string function, open up your parentheses, list out the columns that you're putting in that function, close the parentheses, and this is pretty much your full set. And what this does is it literally combines whatever columns that you put within these parentheses. So let's say you are in a position to where you need to combine different columns. I do it in Excel all the time. I still even to this day do it in Excel. But let's say you need to combine two different columns to create some sort of ID. So let's say I want to take like the last name, first four digits of their last name, and the first four digits of their birthday or something. And I would want to concat these columns in this column as member ID or, something like that. So it's not uncommon in that sort of capacity either to be able to just combine two different columns. Any questions about that? See. So were y'all able to connect to y'all database, to the database?
Yes, I was able to connect with no problems today.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Perfect. So, okay, you can see my screen. So, at a high level, let's talk about this architecture again um, before we hop in. And for the record, I don't know if I told you all this or not, but in between our sessions, if you would like for me to turn on a VM where you can come and practice some use cases, just send me an email and I'll turn it on for you. Because even if you were to come over here and write some code and use it even to build out your portfolio, you can. So this is your server. This is the brain of everything. It keeps everything organized. It's essentially like the central processing unit of like a computer. Then you open it up. These are your databases here. These black boxes. And I know we talked about in session one how there are different dialects of SQL. And I was saying that regardless of if you are leaning in on cloud infrastructure, which is like GCP, Amazon Redshift, any of those things, or if you're leaning into like a relational database, which is what we use, or any of those high distributed systems, they're all built the same way. The primary difference in those systems is how the data is processed and stored. However, everything will be laid out just like this. So if you understand this layout here, you're good like everywhere. There might be slight differences, but it's not going to be too crazy to where it's like you don't know, you've never seen it before, which is also why I teach y'all like this. So these are your databases. Now, let's go into our let's go into our let's go into our data analytics simplified database first. Now, since this session is kind of heavy, we're going to go into multiple databases today, which is also mimics the way you'll be navigating your space. Like once you get your role as well, you won't just be in one database. So let's go into our data analytics simplified database. These are our tables here. And I'll give you your first use case. And then I'm going to type it in a chat and I'm going to say it out loud. And I'm not going to tell you the tables. Um, okay. So the first use case is, can you please combine the student's first and last name? So first things first, you need to do your data investigation and figure out which tables this data is housed in. Go to your table. You can expand your columns here. look at your data relationships, etc., etc. Just all that data investigation, which is a very good core skill as well. And then you right click it and select your top 1,000 rows and always build your query upon it. Don't feel the need to like start from scratch. So right click, select your top 1,000 rows and build upon it. Now I'm gonna move this out the way so you can see the syntax for the string function. But the first use case is to combine the student's first and last name using the concat function. And you can name your column student name. Were you able to get it?
I'm still working on mine.
Okay. Let me know if you have any questions.
Do we need to comment out anything, or keep everything the same?
Keep everything the same. Keep your student ID. I'm looking at my code now. Keep your student ID. Keep everything else. The only thing that you need to do is concat your first and last name. Or
Okay.
the student's
I
first
just
and
want.
last name. Mm.
When we think of love.
You got any questions?
For me, my system isn't recognizing the CONCAT.
Share your screen. I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see yours. And because CON.
CON.
Yep. Yes. Yep. 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 That's it. But your structure is correct. And I also like the way you yeah. So okay. So I see what you tried to do. Let me put on my big screen so I can see what you did. So I see what you tried to do with the empty string in the middle. So in that empty string, put a space and it'll give you what you were trying to do. But that's very good practice. There you go. Now execute. There you go. Yep. So that concat essentially takes this field and it takes this field and it brings them together. Excel does the exact same thing. If you need to take or retrieve data from one cell in an Excel, you can do it just like that. And it puts it in one cell. And then you got as student name. Now let's say if I wanted to I needed this, but I also only needed students who had the enrollment year of 2023, what would I do? How would I write my code to capture it?
um, you would need to do only the enrollment year. Which year?
2023.
2023. You would have to do between, right?
Mm-mm. Look at your well, you thinking right, but look at your values that's in your enrollment year. In your enrollment year, in this column, it actually is only structured like a year. So you're good with like what you were thinking at first.
Equal to,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. So how would you structure that within your code?
I have notes. I have to look back at my notes.
It's okay. Let's talk. We can talk about it. So you remember, last week we talked about logical operators, and I
Mhm.
said that a logical operator is essentially anytime you put a condition and you got multiple things, but the first thing you gonna say is like where this condition is met.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Where, and then what column would you use to filter out your data?
So I would put where enrollment year is. Oop.
Put it after your from, but that's exactly what you would put.
Oh,
Yep. And then scoot that on over.
I wanted to stay how it
Yep.
was. I don't.
But you would absolutely put where enrollment year is 2023. But you would take that where and you would put it after your from. But that's exactly what you would do.
Okay.
And think of the way to keep that organized, like literally in your brain, like you know how you have like coffee and you have like a coffee filter. You put all of your coffee in the coffee filter. So when you think about it, you put all of your data in, the top part of your query. And then you come and you put your filter, you say where. So I put my coffee filter because I only want, the water. So if I say where, then I'm filtering out only what I need. So always put your filter underneath your data. But that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep. 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 Now, if I was to take it a step further and I say I want to enroll me year 2023 and people who majored in biology, how would you capture that?
You would have to do and
Yes.
um major
Yep.
and
Yeah, you
next
did
time.
right. You said right and major, and then you would do the same thing equals biology. Yep. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely correct. You would start your very first filter. Of course, like how you got, you gonna always start with where. But anything else, you only anything else you put after where, it's gonna have to be either and A and D, like how you got, or. If I was to say I want the enrollment year 2023, or if they majored in biology. So you only
Okay.
put that where at one time, but that's 100% correct. Good. And I like your day, like it's clean, whatever. But there you go. So in here you have your string functions, because on line 10 you said concat these two columns as. Then you got your alias as student name. Then you come down on line 14 and you start putting your conditions. Where this condition is this and this condition is it. So very good. Your code look good, very good, very good.
Does the where part still need to be in brackets, or this is correct for it to be like this?
It's not going to not work.
Okay.
Like you're good. Now the brackets come into play. And if you want your code to be like just all be consistent, you can keep it
Mhm.
in there like how you have it on line 12 and 11. Yeah.
Okay.
You can keep it in there, but it'll still work. And the brackets come into play because some of your column names are actually can possibly be reserved words. Like I think in one of our tables, we have a column named status. And status is a reserved word for SQL. So then brackets come and it's like, wait, don't treat this like a reserved word. Treat this like a column.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. But it'll still work just like how yours worked fine. But if you just want it to be, consistent, you can. Or if it is a reserved word, then you have to.
Okay, that
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep. Any questions? See,
Mm-mm.
you didn't have to go back to your notes.
I wanted to.
I'm
I
gonna
was so like,
go to my
I'm a notes person. When I was doing the coding challenge, I was like, oh, that was the first. Well, we only did two so far,
notes.
but the first one I struggled. I'm like notes, kind of how I have it now. My notes and
Yeah.
the DB was like side by side.
Yeah.
But the only thing about DB that I'm not a fan of is we can't write our code like exactly like this. It's
Right.
like very particular.
Yep. Yep. So let's talk about that real quick. So first of all, I did it in that format because it's like always there. First of all, but secondly, I also wanted you all. I know first session we talked about like the different dialects. And I'm like, there are multiple dialects of SQL. I wanted you all to have exposure to like if I say something is slightly different over here, but you can still do it, that's
Mhm.
literally what that is. And like in DB
Yeah.
Fiddle, it's like slight variations, but it's like okay, once you get in there, it's like okay, well I have to change like I have to put a semicolon or it's case sensitive or something like that, but it's still like 90-ish%. If you know the code, you know the code. It's just a little learning curve there. But yeah,
Right.
yeah. And that in the event that once you start interviewing and you're talking to these people and you're like, okay, well, what tech stack do you all use? Whatever. It gives you a little visibility to I can do this, but I use T SQL because Microsoft is T SQL. They might use like PL SQL or some other dialect, but you can still do the work.
Okay.
So
Let
yep,
me put that in my notes too.
yep, yep. We do. I'm gonna put it right here, and also, um, I'm putting it in the chat. Also, as you're scrolling through LinkedIn and you see the different dialects of SQL, I have people that like, but I don't know that. I'm like, yes, you do. It's no different than like, okay, it's no different than like, Google has Google Sheets and like Microsoft has Excel. It's like, these the same, but they're not.
I was literally just doing that last night. I was asking my mom. My mom was like, "You already know how to use it. It's the same thing."
Yep. What were you doing?
I was doing a budget sheet, and I was like, I don't know how to get the sum of my. I was trying not the sum. I was trying to get the average of all my last pay stubs, and my mom was like, "Do it the same way you do it in Excel. It's the same thing." Because I was
Yep.
doing it on Google Docs.
Yep. Yep. It is. It's like, okay, and literally, Akia, what it all boils down to is proprietary software. If Microsoft produces their relational database system and then Google's like, oh, I want to release mine too, they're going to release it, but they want it to be just a little different than what they're doing over there just to claim it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Like, she's not lying. It's the same thing because I do a lot of work in both of them, but they're the same thing. And SQL is the same way. Like, there might be little differences, like case sensitive or a semicolon or something like that. But at its core, you know how to navigate that space. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Same. It's literally the same concept. Also, if you're doing that budget sheet, uh, if you were to clean it up and like whatever you want to do with it, that's something that you're using. You can also use that in your portfolio as well.
That's a good idea.
Yep. Yep. I would definitely do that if I was you. Definitely. Of course, don't put your real business in there, but you know how to do it. But yeah, I definitely would do it if I was you.
That's a good idea. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any questions about that combining and replacing? Okay. So this is I don't okay, there you go. So the next one, so this one is upper. I'm not really gonna get you to do that because it's like, you know how to do that. It in upper is pretty much it does what it says it's going to do. Or if you want to do it on your own time, you can. It does what it says it's going to do. It's like upper and then this column. So pretty much any data that you return with this code is going to be uppercase. The other one is lower. So any data you're going to return within that code in this column is going to be lowercase. So upper or lower, those are good ones. But one that I did want to give you the opportunity to apply here is this pattern matching. And the reason being is because it's super common because like I said, when we have like a lot of volume of data and you're going and you're looking for certain data within your code. However, it might be like slight variations to that code. What that means is, let's say I'm looking for someone by the name of Brittany, and it's 82 ways to spell Brittany. I've seen it spelled so many different ways. Everybody that's born in the 90s, your name either Brittany or Nicole, like your middle name, like, and all of us spell it differently. So it's like, let's say you're looking for a name with that variation, I mean, with the name, or you're looking for a certain ID and you know a part of it, but you don't know the full thing. This is where something like that pattern searching will come into place. And the way that it's applied is it's no different than how you are on Microsoft Word or even Google Sheets or Google or Excel, like how we were just talking about. When you click that Control F, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to find something. That pattern matching acts the same way. It tries to find certain things based on what you provided. So to break that down, this is the syntax for we are select, this is your select, then we got our star from this table. This a condition where this column like. So I'm saying where this column is like, I have my string, I have my percentage, and then the last three digits, I mean, characters. Then I close it up. And what this essentially is doing is it's going to return all the data where this column, where the data in this column is like this. So this parentheses can be anything. It can be anything. But what I'm looking for is the last three digits or the last three characters need to be this. So this can be this percentage basically is a wild card. It can hold the value for anything, but just go and find a pattern of these three characters. So let's say you are looking. Let's go in our let's go in our students table again and just right click and select your top 1,000 rows and redo it. And mm, let's do a good one. Let's go and let's see if we can find everyone who has a first where the first name starts with like JOH. Here's the syntax here. Yeah. So if I'm going to look for the first letters JOH, I would essentially switch this up because I would put my parentheses after that.
You would put the JOH first and then the
Yep.
parentheses after. Okay,
Yep.
just make sure.
Yep. Yep. And then if you want to, just switch it around or like look at other ways so you can kind of see the vibe. But yep, that's
Mm,
exactly how you would do it.
okay. I got it.
Okay.
It
Okay. Now switch it up a little bit so you can kind of see, okay, this is what she's talking about. Go and see, go and see who has a last name. Now you see the different variations of the first name in your column. Yep.
John,
Yep.
Jonathan,
Yep.
Johnny.
Yep. Go and see. Okay, keep that. Get rid of that function for the first name, and now use the last name of people who have the last three digits of the name is TON or S. We SON is in. Do TON. See what that does. And now let's do the last three digits.
Okay. Okay. It returned some for this one too, and it's like Houston,
Yep.
Singleton,
Yep.
Billington.
Yep. So this is helpful. Let's say I only know a little bit of this, but I need to do some. Once we go back in, this is still called data investigation. I need to do some data investigation to try to figure out how I'm trying to find something in particular. This is where it's helpful for that. It is literally no different than how you use Control F in like Excel or like Word, and you trying to find like a certain thing. You literally are doing data investigation to find something particular. But yep. Any question on your string functions?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So next let's get into subqueries. Okay. So a subquery is literally what it sounds like. It's a query inside of a query. It's also not uncommon for people to refer to subqueries as nested queries because you're literally nesting this query inside of a bigger query. Looking at this full syntax, this is at its highest level the example of a subquery. You got two different queries right here. What you think that this code is doing? Even if you were to break it down piece by piece, what do you think that this is doing?
So it's pulling the employee ID, name, and salary
Mm-hmm.
from the employee's chart,
Mm-hmm.
and where the salary is greater than,
Yep.
well, the average. Wait, hold on. Select the average stat salary. So the average salary, where the salary is greater than the average salary.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. They threw a loop at first, but I got it.
Yep. That's exactly what it's doing. You pulling the employee ID, employee name, and salary from the employee's table where the salary is greater than the average salary. Yep. You zoomed through that.
I'm surprised I did.
It's just starting to like feel more like you can read the code, like it's like you in here now. And it's gonna be like that for this. It's gonna be like that for um okay, so when you get to know SQL, Power BI go come pretty like okay. Then Python go come like it's all different, but it's all like you understand it. When you understand stuff, you're good. Like, but yeah, very good. That's exactly what this doing. This pulls all of this and it's comparing the where the salary is greater than the average salary. So essentially the only records that it's gonna return is if they have a salary that's greater than the average. I only want people that make above average salary. That's it. So that's what this will return. And this is literally your aggregate function, like how we talked about last week. Select average, got our column name from employees. And in our subquery, this part of your query is what is actually going to compute first. It's going to compute from the inside, and it is going to use this for this condition. So when you get into subqueries fall into what is categorized, in which it ain't, yeah, nobody, like, you don't have to memorize it. But I do like to talk through it, say, like, you can understand what you're doing. Subqueries fall into that advanced filters type arena. We learn filters. We say where this condition is met, where this column is greater than this all day long. We learn logical operators where this condition is met and this condition is met or this condition is met. We did that all day long. Now we're getting into our advanced filtering because we're going to use another syntax as a filter. So that's essentially what the subqueries do. They use things that would typically require multiple steps. And the fact that you zoom through it like that, that's very good. Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see where I want to do your use case on. So we're going to get out of this database and we are going to go in another one. Okay. Let's go within our food inspection DB. So this is a database. This is a database that houses data regarding food inspections. And so we have three tables here. So the restaurant data raw, that's actually your staging table. And that's what I use to populate these other two tables. Um, so when we're doing our analysis, let's don't use the raw table. Use either your restaurants or your scores table. So I'm going to give you your use case. You know what? Let's use a restaurant. Let's use the raw table because I think it'll give you all the information you need. So let's use the raw table. But anyway, I'm gonna put your use case. So the use case is to I can't spell restaurants. I can't spell restaurants. I can't spell exercise. So the use case is provide me with an output of all restaurants who have a below average food inspection rating. So which of these restaurants I need to stay away from, basically? Who scored below average on their food rating? Were you able to find the food inspection DB table database?
Yes, I'm in there.
Okay.
You said you wanted us to use the. Oh, okay, never mind. I see it.
Yep, the raw yeah.
The rating would be the score, right?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure.
Come through data investigation. And I like the way you talking through because like I tell you in your technical assessments, that's the expectation. So get used to it. Like the question you just asked me, okay, that's the score, right? Okay. It sounds so small, but that is literally like what they looking for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm a little confused about this one.
Let's talk about it.
So I understand this is what I think it'll be, but I don't know. if this is right.
Okay.
So I think it'll be you put your select statement from the data,
Mm-hmm.
and then where the restaurant name is below.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Where So if we're doing okay, so the first part is right. Select, and then you have your columns from the restaurant data raw table. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you get into filtering, you say where. So if I am, hold on, let me read. Yeah. So if I say where, if I'm looking for restaurants who have a below average food inspection rating or a below average score, what am I using for my filter? If I say where,
Score.
yep,
Sorry. Yeah.
yep,
Where the score
yep,
is below. What's average score. Okay.
yep.
Oh, okay. So, mm, it's saying my syntax is wrong.
Let's talk through it. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna look at yours.
This is how I had it at first, and it gave me an error.
Um. Oh, girl. Okay. When I tell you what the problem is, you're gonna be like, okay. So double click on your ear. Okay, so it's taking you to that line of code. Look and see where your the little squiggly line is.
Oh, I see what it is.
There you go. What's nope,
The
nope.
semicolon.
Print open close your parentheses.
Oh,
Because you got them open correctly right after your where score is greater than. Now execute. There you go. There you go.
mm-hmm.
Now this is your subquery. Now you have all of your data, ID, restaurant, all this other stuff. Where score is greater than select average score. I mean, less than, my bad. Less than the average score. Now, if I wanted to take it a step further and I want to say where the inspection date, so you already got where. So if I want to say and the inspection date was in the last quarter of 2024, in December of 2024, how would you structure that? Where would you structure that first, and how would you structure that?
You would just put in
Yep.
where the so where and the inspection date.
Yep. Take your and put it on line 20. So it won't
Okay.
be, so you can like see what are you doing. The only reason I say that is because like you can live that there you go. It's just easier for you to read when you're going through your code. Now on this one, you actually would use between because of the way that data is formatted down there. So, but that's exactly right. And you would say and inspection date between those two fields. Yep.
And what was the dates you wanted to do?
Let's do December of 2024.
Oh, the format is different.
Yes. I wasn't even gonna say nothing. Girl, I'm so proud of you.
Thank
You're
you.
doing so good. Like I see so much growth, but the format is very much so different. But you did that. You caught it though before you even like uh do and Akia 2024 and then the other date. Yep.
I'm trying to do it like a paragraph. I'm thinking like real words. It is a
Yeah.
paragraph, just not the way I'm trying to put it.
Right. But one thing I can say about you is I actually see a lot of growth. Like you're going through and like you're debugging before you even execute. Yep, you're going through and you like, oh, that's not gonna work, and you correcting it. Like you're correcting yourself, and I'm not, even saying anything. And for you to be able to do that, that takes a level of identification, and that level of identification comes from application. So it's all like, do 1231, Akia.
Oh yeah, you're right. The coding challenge really helped. Like the one we did last week, that one was really helpful.
Good.
Oh wait.
There you go. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Now walk me through what your code is doing. Tell me the business case. This is what this is solving, and this is what my code is doing. Let's start with the tech part first. Walk me through line 11 through 20. Tell me what your code doing.
Okay, so the code is pulling the ID, the restaurant name, the street address, the zip code, the inspection date, the score, and the inspection type
Yeah.
from the restaurant, the food inspection database,
Yeah.
where the score is less than the average score,
Mm-hmm.
and the inspection date is between 12/1/2024 to 12/31/2025.
Yep. Yep. And what business case does this solve? How does this? Okay, so you gave me